Have you ever, been convinced to buy something, maybe sign on a dotted line, and you felt pretty good about it, only later you think, wow, they really guided me there quite skillfully?
Or maybe you grabbed a free sample somewhere and somehow walked out with the full-size product.
Exactly. Those moments, that's the subtle power of personal selling and sales promotion we see every single day. We often don't even clock it. So let's unpack this a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into Chapter 18 of Pride and Feral Marketing, 21st edition. This is a really foundational chapter, especially for you, our Appalachian State University College of Business juniors hitting principles of marketing.
It really is.
Our mission here is pretty straightforward. Boil down the absolute must-know insights, maybe some surprising facts, and real-world examples from this chapter. We want to give you that shortcut to being really well-informed, but without feeling totally bogged down. Get ready for some of those aha moments.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how these ideas go way beyond the textbook. Understanding personal selling, sales promotion, it's not just about passing a test. These are genuinely vital skills for any business career you might end up in.
That's a great point.
Yeah, think about it. Pitching a project, negotiating a budget, just trying to persuade a colleague. The basic principles of influence and communication we're talking about, they're fundamental. Plus, these areas of marketing are super dynamic. They're constantly changing with tech and how we all behave as consumers.
Absolutely. So let's kick things off with personal selling. What is it at its core? Well, it's paid, personal communication, one-on-one really, aimed at informing customers and persuading them to buy something.
Right, that direct interaction.
And that direct interaction has some huge advantages. For one, the salesperson gets incredible freedom to adjust the message, like right there on the spot, tailored to your specific needs.
That flexibility is key.
It makes it the most precise way to promote something, doesn't it? You can really focus your efforts on the most promising prospects.
Exactly. And that precision, that focus, is fantastic for building real relationships, especially in B2B, business-to-business sales, or when you're dealing with expensive or high-risk products where, trust is everything.
The main drawback, though, it's usually the most expensive part of the whole promotion mix. All that one-on-one time adds up.
It does. Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see personal selling is really transforming. That old image of the door-to-door salesman, pretty outdated now.
Right.
Today, customers like you, like me, we walk in armed with information. We've checked social media, mobile apps, websites. It completely changes how we research, how we decide.
So true.
And this is where customer relationship management, CRM technology, becomes just essential. Think of systems like Salesforce.com. They're a leader in this space. CRM isn't just a fancy database for names. It's about improving service, making marketing and sales processes smoother, and this is crucial, analyzing all that customer data. This lets companies get predictive, maybe anticipate what customers need even before they ask. It's a seriously powerful tool for building those long-term relationships we just talked about.
Okay, so we get what personal selling is and why it's changing with tech like CRM, but how does it actually work, like the process? And this is where it gets really interesting for you as App State juniors, because these steps, they aren't just for salespeople in suits. You can totally apply this framework to landing a job, asking for a raise, maybe even negotiating a better grade on a project like the textbook exercise mentions.
Surprisingly applicable.
So while every salesperson is different, there are generally 7 steps in the process. First up, prospecting.
Finding potential customers.
Exactly, just developing that database. Sources could be company records, trade shows, but here's a wild fact from the book. A referral from a happy customer. It can be as valuable as 12 cold calls.
12. That really underscores the power of trust in relationships, doesn't it? That ripple effect.
It really does. Okay, after prospecting comes the pre-approach.
Homework time.
Yeah, basically. This is where you dig into information about your prospects before you make contact. What do they need? What brands are they using now? Who makes the decisions? The more info you have, their pain points, objectives, even personality quirks, the better you can tailor your presentation later.
It's like prepping for a big interview or client pitch. You wouldn't just walk in cold, right? This sets the stage for a much more productive conversation.
Definitely. Then you have the approach. This is that very first contact. And the goal isn't just to jump into the sale. It's more about gathering info, making a good first impression, starting to build some rapport.
Right. It could be through a referral, someone they already trust, or sometimes it is that cold canvas approach, reaching out without an intro. But the aim is always to move from being a stranger to becoming a trusted advisor.
Which leads right into making the presentation. This is where you really need to grab and hold their attention, spark their interest, create that desire for the product or service.
But here's the key insight. It's less about talking at them and much more about active listening. Research actually shows that listening and what they call cognitive empathy are strongly linked to building a strong buyer-seller relationship.
And watching those nonverbal cues too, right? So important for trust.
Hugely important. Then comes overcoming objections. Now, the best strategy is often to anticipate the common ones and address them proactively.
But careful not to introduce objections they hadn't thought of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's risky. Otherwise, you just handle them as they come up, maybe by reframing the issue or giving more context or information.
Makes sense. Then the big moment, closing the sale. Simply asking them to buy.
And salespeople often use what's called a trial close, asking questions that kind of assume the purchase is happening.
Like, which color did you prefer? Or what delivery date works best?
Precisely. Their answers give you clues about where they stand.
Yeah.
And a good salesperson will actually try to close at several points during the conversation because, hey, the customer might be ready sooner than you think.
And finally, the step that so many forget but is absolutely critical, following up.
Yes.
After the sale, you check in. Was delivery okay?
Yeah.
Installation smooth? Any questions? This is vital for cementing that long-term relationship. And here's another stat for you. A lot of customers stop buying not because they're unhappy, but because they feel neglected.
That neglect insight is so powerful, it really kills loyalty. And it brings up a good question. Who are these people doing the selling and how do their roles differ? Because it's not all the same.
Right.
You've got your inside sales force, often working from an office, taking orders, providing support, and then the outside sales force, who are typically out there meeting clients face-to-face, doing more consultative selling. Often, creative selling uses a mix of both.
And they focus differently, too.
Yeah, some salespeople focus on current customer sales, keeping existing clients happy, getting repeat business. Others are all about new business sales, finding and converting totally new buyers, like a real estate agent, mostly focused on new business.
Gotcha.
And then you have support personnel. These folks don't always close the deals themselves, but they make selling possible. Think missionary salespeople, like pharmaceutical reps explaining new drugs to doctors. They influence the sale.
Okay.
Or trade salespeople helping retailers stock shelves and set up displays. And technical salespeople who provide that deep product knowledge for complex things, like heavy machinery. They all play a specific, important role.
So it's clear selling isn't just one thing. How have the approaches themselves evolved?
Well, team selling is a big one now, especially for really complex, high-tech, or expensive products. Imagine a whole team, maybe finance, engineering, led by the salesperson collaborating to solve a big customer problem. Covers all the bases.
Makes sense for complex deals.
And maybe even more impactful is the rise of relationship selling, sometimes called consultative selling. This isn't about one-off transactions. It's about building mutually beneficial long-term associations. The focus shifts entirely to understanding the customer's needs, solving their problems, providing support after the sale, becoming a true partner.
That long-term view seems critical.
It absolutely is. Think about this. Firms often spend something like 6 times more finding a new customer than keeping an existing one happy. Loyal, long-term customers. They're incredibly profitable, they save you money on acquisition, and they give you a real competitive edge. Salesforce.com, which you look at in your case studies, really built their whole model around this idea, focusing on stakeholder satisfaction, fostering those deep relationships. It's about enduring value.
That focus on relationships, on the people involved, leads us perfectly into our next big area. Salesforce management.
Crucial stuff.
Absolutely crucial. Why? Because the sales force is usually directly responsible for bringing in the revenue. No sales, no business.
Pretty much.
Plus, their conduct out there directly shapes the company's reputation. Are they ethical? And the team's morale, their success, it all hinges on good management. Things like how they're paid, trained, supported. These aren't just side issues. They're central to making the whole thing work.
Exactly right. And managing a sales force effectively involves making some really key decisions. First off, establishing sales force objectives. You need precise, measurable goals. For the whole team, maybe sales volume, market share, and for individuals, often through sales quotas, gives everyone clear direction.
Makes sense. What else?
Then, determining sales force size. How many salespeople do you actually need? This decision hits sales, profits, compensation, even morale. Companies might figure it out based on how many calls are needed per year divided by how many calls one person can make, or they might use marginal analysis, keep adding salespeople until the cost equals the extra revenue they bring in.
Interesting calculation.
Then, of course, recruiting and selecting salespeople. Building that pipeline of qualified applicants. It starts with a good job description, figuring out what makes your current top performers successful, and then continuously recruiting from everywhere inside the company, agencies, maybe universities like App State, websites.
Gotta find the right people.
And once you find them, training sales personnel is absolutely vital. This can be formal classroom stuff, on-the-job training, or a mix. For new hires, for experienced folks learning new things, covers company culture, product details, selling techniques, and nowadays a lot of training is web-based. Saves money, especially for rolling out info on new products quickly.
Okay, training's key. What about paying them?
Compensating salespeople. This is huge. The plan has to attract good people, motivate them to perform, and keep them from leaving. It needs to be flexible, seen as fair, and not a nightmare to administer.
Sounds tricky to balance.
It can be. There are basically three main ways. Straight salary, just a fixed amount per pay period. Good security for the salesperson, gives the manager control, predictable costs for the company, but maybe less direct incentive to sell more than straight commission. Pay is based purely on sales volume, maximum incentive, right? Encourages focus on high-value sales, but the manager has less control, maybe smaller accounts get ignored, and costs fluctuate with sales.
Okay.
And the most common is probably the combination plan, a mix of fixed salary plus commission or bonus. Gives you that security and the incentive. Expenses fluctuate some, but maybe less wildly than pure commission. Can be a bit more complex to manage, though.
That makes sense. What else is involved in management?
Well, motivating salespeople. It's not just about money. Good managers figure out what individuals need and want, their goals, and create a supportive climate. Things like sales contests, recognition programs, they can be really effective motivational tools.
Beyond the paycheck.
Definitely. Then there's managing sales territories. You need to carve up the market into territories that make sense. You want to be able to measure the sales potential in each, make sure customers are covered efficiently, and keep travel costs down. You look at geography, where customers are located, maybe even things like mountains or rivers.
Logistics matter.
They really do. And finally, controlling and evaluating sales force performance. How do you know if it's all working? You need information from call reports, salespeople file, from customer feedback, from invoices. Then you measure performance against those objectives we set earlier. Things like calls per day, sales per customer, new accounts open, cost per call, profit per customer, compared to the standards. It's how you track progress and make adjustments.
That's a really comprehensive look at managing the human side of selling. But what about all those other things companies do to get us to buy? Like right now, that brings us to sales promotion.
Yeah, the quick incentives.
Exactly. Sales promotion is basically any activity or material that offers some kind of added value or incentive. Could be aimed at resellers, the company's own salespeople, or us, the consumers. It's kind of everything else in promotion besides personal selling, advertising, and PR.
And what's fascinating, as you mentioned, is how sales promotions just exploded in recent decades, often growing much faster than traditional advertising spending.
Why is that?
Several reasons converge. Consumers, like us, have become way more value conscious. We're always looking for a deal, right?
Guilty.
Retailers have become much more powerful too, partly because they have so much data from scanners. They demand more promotional support from manufacturers. Also, brand loyalty isn't what it used to be. People are more willing to switch brands if there's a good incentive.
Makes sense.
And, let's be honest, there's often intense pressure within companies for short-term results. Sales promotions are great at delivering a quick sales boost.
Okay, so what does this actually look like for us as consumers? Let's maybe group some of the main methods.
Good idea.
First, you've got price incentives. Things like coupons. Still the most widely used method. Price reduction right there. And the shift digital coupons is huge. The book notes, they get redeemed like 10 times more often than paper. Cheaper for companies, better targeting too.
Definitely.
Also in this bucket are cents off offers, where you just pay less than the marked price. Think about Anthropologie marking down summer clothes, and money refunds or rebates where you send in proof of purchase for cash back, like that Verizon mail-in rebate example, though now a lot of that is done online, which is simpler.
Much simpler than you have loyalty and rewards programs. Yeah. These are all about encouraging repeat business, building that long-term connection.
Your supermarket loyalty card, right?
Classic example. Or the coffee shop punch card, where you get $5 off after so many points.
Yeah.
A really interesting case study is the Nederlander organization's audience rewards for Broadway shows. It works like a frequent flyer program for theatergoers, builds amazing loyalty and a real edge over competitors.
That's clever. What else?
Then there's a category you could call experiential or direct engagement promotions. This includes point of purchase, POP materials, those displays right in the store designed to grab your eye.
Ah.
Like an elaborate table setting used to sell expensive dishes.
Yeah.
Also, free samples. These are costly, but super effective for getting people to try something new, especially early in a product's life. Think perfume samples.
Always grab those.
Right. Then premiums, which are items offered free or cheap when you buy something else, the classic toy in the cereal box. And things like consumer contests based on skill, games based on chance, and sweepstakes, random drawing. They all aim to engage customers, maybe drive traffic or repeat visits.
Lots of different tools there.
And that's just consumer-facing. There's a whole other world of trade sales promotion methods. These are aimed at the middlemen, the wholesalers and retailers. The goal is to persuade them to carry your product and push it aggressively.
Why use those?
Companies use them maybe to fight back against store brands, offer discounts in certain channels, get more shelf space, or just clear out excess inventory.
Got it.
Just to give you a flavor, you have things like buying allowances, basically temporary price cuts for ordering a certain amount, or cooperative advertising, where the manufacturer pays part of the retailer's ad costs if they feature the product. It's all about pushing the product through the distribution chain effectively.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've done this deep dive into personal selling and sales promotion, unpacking everything from those 7 steps of making a sale to managing a sales force to all those different incentives companies use.
We really have.
And it's clear these elements are just fundamental to marketing. Whether you're talking about that direct face-to-face customer interaction or these big picture promotional strategies that affect the whole supply chain. And for you, listening as future business leaders, especially there at AppState, getting a grip on these concepts is huge. Because these aren't just, abstract marketing tactics for an exam. The skills you build by understanding this communication, persuasion, negotiation, relationship building, these are skills you'll use everywhere, far beyond just a sales job. They'll impact how you interact, how you lead, how you build connections in any career path you choose. Finance, HR, operations, you name it.
Which really raises an interesting final question to think about. How might understanding all these nuances, the techniques of personal selling, the lures of sales promotion, how might that help you? Not just as a potential marketer, but maybe as a sharper, more discerning consumer in a world that's constantly trying to persuade you. And perhaps even as a more effective communicator in all parts of your life.
That's a powerful thought to end on, a great lens for viewing the world. We really hope this deep dive has given you a clearer, more practical understanding of these critical marketing functions. Go forth, be well-informed, and keep exploring.